I'm going to get angry with this story. I'm going to get angry because it says a lot about our current ruling class, our politicians, and really about how this really flew over all of our heads for quite some time. And each of us need to understand that if we're going to be going into 2025 and eventually, there will be the midterm election cycle of 2026, hear me out. We have to address the dementia issue in Congress. Now, it's been recently revealed that, oh my goodness, surprise, surprise, the Biden administration knew, every one of his aides knew that Biden had good days and bad days and that he just wasn't all there. Oh my God, everybody's shocked. Well, if you weren't paying attention over the weekend, United States Congresswoman has been absent for about 6 freaking months. Kay Gardner of Texas was living at a senior living facility, dealing with dementia issues. I'm going to be calm. But we're a global superpower, and yet our leaders in the United States Senate and House, and in the White House, apparently, are not all there. So maybe the reason why things are so bad is because no one's manning the ship. No one's behind the wheel. No one's controlling the buttons. No one knows what they're doing. Has Congress become a geriatric home? Yeah, it has. It has. But before we get started with the missing Congresswoman, first let's go ahead and see the avatars. Some prime examples of people who really shouldn't be in power. Remember this? Mitch McConnell, United States Senator, where he froze up. This was just earlier this year. This is elder abuse. And this is abuse to a population of 300 million plus Americans. Now we know why things are so bad. No one's in control.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
He can't give an answer. I've seen this look. We have all seen this look, okay? Now, again, I don't have a soft spot for politicians, right? I don't. But it angers me because these are the people in charge of us. These are our commanders. These are our leaders that corporate media has said we must trust. Never forget how Morning Joe said it. This is the best version of Biden. No, I know this is Senator Mitch McConnell, but my goodness. This is an insult to the American people.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Penny.
Whether it's, well, it's the first bill that protect our assault, our bill, COVID shots in the arm.
Okay. Just want to read this here. We then received a tip from a Gregor's constituent who shared that the Congresswoman has been residing in a local memory care and assisted living home for some time after having been found wandering, lost, and confused in her former cultural district, West 7th neighborhood. The Dallas Express team visited the facility to confirm whether Gregor was residing there and to inquire how she planned to vote on the spending bill. Upon arrival, 2 employees confirmed that Gregor was indeed living at the facility. However, we were not permitted to conduct the interview regarding the current spending debate in the House of Representatives, or how or if Ms. Gregor planned to vote. Remember with Dianne Feinstein? Dianne Feinstein, remember her? Before she passed away? Remember her? I think people have forgotten Dianne Feinstein. Because she was not there. She was not present. And these are the politicians that we got to trust, okay? I mean, I just want to pull up this tweet here. But there does come a point where, hey, You gotta ride off into the sunset where like it's over. It's over. All right. Hey, and I'm gonna be facing that same thing too. Someday I will not be top of my game, but God forbid, is this what we have as leaders? Okay. She wasn't physically fit. I also want to pull up something else here too, because see, the thing is, for the politicians that have functioning brain cells, the amounts of twists and turns that they have to do to support their party says a lot. Case in point here, Senator Chris Coons says, "I still support Joe Biden, but that was true. The first time I saw or heard anything that made me really question his fitness to serve a second term was that debate. Remember that debate against Trump? Here we go."
You're a longtime ally of Joe Biden. You sit in his former Senate seat. There was a report in the Wall Street Journal that was pretty detailed and pretty well sourced, outlining concerns about the president's mental and physical fitness going back to the start of his presidency, even cabinet members who were kept at arm's length. Is that true?
I don't know whether cabinet officials were or were not kept at arm's length.
Were there concerns
I know
about
that
him?
for years, the way I communicate with President Biden is not by hanging out at his house on the weekend or traveling with him overseas, but he calls me when he's got questions or concerns. And I'll remind you, in just the fight of the last couple of days, there are Republicans who've been saying that Joe Biden once again outsmarted them politically. So which one is it? Is he a savvy political operator?
Who said that? You know, sometimes I say on this show, like when I see sometimes you, my audience, would sneak in as a funny character, you know, and I say, okay, who did this? Cousin Dickie or Tina Mayberry shows up, you know, that kind of stuff. And I love it. It's funny. It's funny. Like, okay, who did this? Who did this? Or sometimes you see a meme, who did it? No, really, I got to ask, who said that Biden's running circles? Because I heard it from corporate media a lot, especially Morning Glow or Kamala, saying Joe Biden's running circles around his team. Oh, yeah, he's probably running circles around his team because he doesn't want to put his pants on. I saw that debate. I mean, even my goodness, Trump looked like he was going to show some sympathy. Like, my goodness, can you see that they put this guy up here to debate me? Okay, do you believe this? Do you believe this? And I can, unfortunately, because we have given this warning on the show way back in 2020 that we got politicians who are in power who are not mentally or physically fit. Now I know how the ancient Romans felt, at least to a degree, when their political class was just straight up failing. This is nothing new. It's the first time for us. There has to be age limits. There has to be term limits. This is unacceptable. And I got to ask to the family members of these politicians, don't you love them? I mean, you got to be human to a degree. I mean, I get that Washington, D.C. is a cesspool, but where is your goddamn humanity at for your loved ones? Unless these are truly, like, really insane families, you know? But where's the compassion? Because it's the people at the end of the day that got to rely on these congressmen and women who are in their 80s and 90s who aren't all there. Who's running the show? You know what this legitimately states? Is that when people reelect these politicians in office and they're like not there, their votes equal to nothing. And how that said representative or senator votes is going to be done by their handlers. So once again, the average voter does not have a seat at the table. It's a big question mark. Did your senator and House representative really vote?
Who outsmarted them, someone who had the sense to step back and let them keep fighting with each other, and in the end got exactly the spending bill that he and his administration and Democrats in Congress had been fighting for? Or is he someone who's completely AWOL? I think it's the former. And if you look at the record of his administration, how many massive legislative accomplishments he had as president and the ways he made us safer and stronger at home and abroad, I'll take that record any day.
You told Fox this week that you didn't realize that there might be something wrong until our debate. Looking back, are you comfortable with your support, the fact that you were a co-chair of his campaign, the whole thing?
I still support Joe Biden. I think he's a compassionate and decent man who has been a consequential president. But that was true. The first time I saw or heard anything that made me really question his fitness to serve a second term was that debate.
Okay, let me ask you guys this. You think he's being honest there with that final statement? Because he had to have known. He had to have known. Think he's being honest? Type 1 for yes, kid, he is. He just didn't know, no. Type 2, no, he knew. He damn well knew. He's lying through his mouth. He's lying through his skin. He's a liar. I wonder how many 2s will show up in the chat. I wonder indeed. Do you ever wonder? Okay. Now, case in point, before we do bring up the missing representative and where she was at, ladies and gentlemen, the infamous debate. Okay, because I mentioned it. Because look, I don't really know too much about Trump, but I could tell from this face right here, like, my God, this you kind of see it. You kind of see it just a little bit.
Care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if
Just the way Trump's looking, I'm like, my God. Like, again, maybe some kind of sympathy here, right? There's like, this is the president of the current president of the United States. Up until when it gets to January 20th, there'll be the switchover, right? This man, Biden, was in charge of us for 4 years, and he wasn't all there. I'm furious. And at the same time, too, I also have this panic, like, my God, what kind of bullet did we dodge? Or how many bullets have we dodged? But wait, technically, well, hold on, we got a war with Ukraine, so no, maybe we're not dodging anything. Or proxy war happening in Ukraine, Russia, US, all that good stuff, right? Madness and insanity. Let's rewind that just a little bit.
with the COVID, excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to care.
Now, real quick here, too. Just further on the fact that it's been revealed that the president was not all there. Before we pull up that, this is the representative who was missing. Okay. Now, this is from Ken Klippenstein. The claim that no one knew about Congresswoman Kay Gardner's dementia is laughable. Here she is speaking before Congress back in March, stammering and stumbling over every sentence while relying on verbatim on a written script. This is painful to watch. To the family members of these politicians, are you guys human? Do you care just a tiny bit? A little bit? Anybody? No, yes, no. Do you care about the republic, the nation?
Republicans made progress in how we fund the government. We drafted the most conservative bills in history. Members submitted over 1,000 amendments. We considered House bills individually on the floor, and we avoided a massive omnibus measure. In total, we increased defense funding and made target cuts. We also maintained our legacy under my.
Try not to rage out here. I'm really trying not to, but this is a sick display, and not maybe. This is the reason why things are terrible. Greed, resentment, corruption. These are things that are crippling us because people won't let go of power. They're thinking about the good of themselves and enriching themselves over the republic, over you, the people. So if you're a Democrat voter or a Republican voter, hey, surprise, surprise, you got another thing in common. Both parties are more than happy to have your famous U.S. Senator or U.S. House Representative be a little puppet for them. All the while, you're still being ignored. And not to mention, turns out you'll never have a chance to really speak to your senator or representative, because if you do get the privilege, they're going to forget about you in like 5 minutes. Not because they're greedy, but it's because their brain isn't all there. Tell me again, diehard Democrat voters and Republican voters, is this a system that you still feel proud of? Now we know why things are this bad. It's a Democratic and Republican issue. And the thing is, we need term limits. We need age limits. This is abuse at every level, and every American, no matter what generation you're part of, the color of your skin, who you worship, I don't care how you vote, or whether you choose not to vote, every one of us should be absolutely furious. No one is in charge. There's no system of accountability.
Colleagues on the other side of the aisle want to remove. Overall, this bill honors our commitment.
William Charles, I'm glad I caught your chat. Would you keep your job being this out of it? No. Unfortunately, no. The thing is, but in Congress, and guess what? You could stay in. Any other job? Would you trust a construction worker maintaining one of those heavy? See, I'm stuttering here now too. See, one of those heavy cranes, those big sky cranes. Would you trust somebody who has dementia running that thing? No. A bulldozer? No. Hell, imagine somebody with dementia driving a bulldozer on the Dan Ryan here in Chicago or on Lakeshore Drive. It's something I don't want to see.
Commitment to our veterans, strengthens our energy security, hold agencies accountable, support our farmers and ranchers, and makes our transportation system safer. I urge my colleagues to support this bill, and I reserve the balance of my time.
All right, let's talk about this. So, Republican Congresswoman from Texas has not cast a vote in the United States House since July. So, July, August, September, October, November, December, 6 months gone. While she's been grappling with dementia issues and residing in a senior living facility, according to her family, something she did not disclose to the public before a Dallas media outlet figured it out, where she was during her prolonged absence. Kay Gragner, 81, has represented Texas' 12th congressional district, which includes part of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, since 1997. It's quite some time. And beginning in January of 2023, she spent more than a year as a chairperson of the powerful House Appropriations Committee. By the way, AOC lost out to another older representative for a key seat position. We talked about it on the show. Hey, AOC, now's the time to really just say, all right, old people out. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's asking too much, because, again, I got to remember, I'm not expecting the squad to do anything because they follow the orders. Continuing on, but months after announcing her plans to retire when her term ended, when her term ended in early 2025, Gragner largely disappeared from the public eye. Her congressional website shows her last vote was on the 24th July, opposing a measure to reduce the salary of the deputy assistant administrator for pesticide programs to $1, just days after Joe Biden canceled his presidential reelection campaign over questions about his age and mental fitness. And maybe that's why this story was quiet for a while, because Joe Biden was the main front center issue. So maybe her family and her staff realized, okay, Joe Biden's just out there. We just hide the representative, keep everything quiet, and maybe everything will be A-okay. The reporter, Carlos Turcios, eventually received a tip from a local resident that Gragner had moved into an assisted living center specializing in memory care. After going to the facility and questioned to determine whether Gragner indeed lived there, the assistant executive director confirmed this is her home. Gragner's son later reported told the Dallas Morning News that Gragner was having some dementia issues and had moved into an independent senior living care with a memory care community on the same property. However, he disputed that she was being treated at the memory care community and said she was a resident of the independent living side of the property. Okay, I can understand a little bit where the family's coming from. Okay, I can. But this is where you have to be honest with the people. because if this has been an ongoing issue, I mean, a lot of people are going to be raising an eyebrow, okay? A lot of people are going to be raising their hand, finger in the air, and say, excuse me, I have some additional questions. Neither Gragner nor her staff could immediately be reached for comment on Sunday. The Morning News reported obtaining a statement from Gragner's office, which conveyed gratitude for the public's concern and said that unforeseen health challenges, quoted, made traveling to Washington, D.C. frequently both difficult and unpredictable. Local and state Republican leaders were among those who said they were troubled over the reporting about Gragner. Yeah, Bo French, chairperson for Tarrant County, Texas, Republican Party, told Dallas Express that the lack of representation from Gragner's district is troubling, to say at least. Extraordinarily important votes involving disaster relief, debt ceiling, and U.S.-Mexico border have occurred since Gragner's last vote, French said, and Craig Gragner was nowhere to be found. We deserve better. Social media post, the Texas State Republican Committee member Ronaldo Garcia added that Gragner's need to live in a memory care facility suggests she may have already been in visible decline when she successfully ran for re-election in 2022. A sad and humiliating way to end her political career, Garcia wrote, sad that nobody cared enough to take away the keys before she reached this moment. A sad commentary on the congressional gerontocracy. If you knew she had problems, why didn't anybody step up? Unless it's all about the dollars. And you know what? Hey, wait a minute. Let's have democracy in the chat. Is it all about the dollars? Type 3, no, Kit. It's about consistency. Type 4, no, boss. It's all about the dollars. It's all about the money. It's all about making the machine go on and on and on and how much people can bleed out. I wonder how many 4s. I wonder how many 4s will be in the chat. I wonder. Do you ever wonder? Let's go ahead and go back to this video from Case Study QB. Huge shout out to him. And just so you know what it's about, White House aides hid Biden's apparent mental decline, which became obvious within the first few months of his presidency. You don't say. It's not like Harlan's media brought it up before.
An explosive report from the Wall Street Journal shedding light on how the White House functioned with a, quote, diminished Biden in charge. Madeline Rivera is in Washington with all the blockbuster details. Maddie.
Good morning, Tom. This Wall Street Journal article describes the insulation that staff provided President Biden more so than in previous administrations. The signs of Mr. Biden's age reportedly became obvious in just the first few months of his term. He would become tired if meetings went long, and he would make mistakes. He had good days and bad days, and in some cases, meetings would be scrapped all.
And this was out here. And yet, remember, corporate media said that Biden was fine
together if he had an off day. Per the article, his meetings with cabinet secretaries were relatively infrequent, and the effort to shield him stretched onto the campaign trail. Some campaign donors said they noticed how staff stepped in to mask other signs of decline. They would often repeat basic instructions to him, such as where to enter or exit a stage. So a lot of Democrats maintained this refrain in public.
Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I talk to President Biden, regularly, usually several times in a week. His mental acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years.
Well, do you think the president should undergo some sort of cognitive testing?
No, to the extent that we're having this conversation, I don't see any need to do that as it relates to Biden.
Republicans are criticizing Democrats for the lack of transparency.
There was a vow of silence among Democrats and liberals in the media for 4 years. They didn't say it after the debate either, when it was clear to everyone. It was only after the election, when it could no longer affect their ability to cling to power, that you start to get some of the real stories. I have to remind all of our viewers, Joe Biden is still president tonight. We've got another month of Joe Biden. He may be forgotten, but he's not gone.
White House spokesman Andrew Bates rejected.
I'm going to stop here. Jimmy Dore, once again, has been proven correct. We are a country. We are the children of alcoholics, of abuse. And it says a lot about us as a nation, too, that this is what we have tolerated. It says a lot of what we've allowed to happen. All right? I'm part of that too, because I didn't really think too much about it before I got involved in politics or media. But the more I read, the more I watched, the more I talked with people, especially in this sphere, in this business, it's becoming very clear. This is a generational problem, a cycle of ongoing abuse after abuse. No wonder everyone's so ticked off in this country. No wonder everyone's so angry. It's because there is no leadership. There is no true representation. And this is where we got to change things. A congresswoman missing for 6 months. Senators and House representatives being stood up as little puppets, all the while probably not even knowing where they're at. I only can imagine what it's like to lose your mind. But what's more insulting is that the result of this system is a reason why all of us right now are struggling day in, day out, because no one in charge gives a damn. There is no real humanity here. And if this doesn't infuriate any of you, I don't know what it does. But there is an example here. Learn from the failures of these politicians and their families. We have to be better than them. And you know what? The thing is, we are better than them. This is not how a functioning nation should operate. And we have to start taking back power.